Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay, coming at you again with another video. All right. And I just had to laugh because I was just on the phone with my son and his mom. They visiting one another, whatnot. Awesome situation. They just happened to be traveling and linked up in the same city, St. Louis, Missouri, to be exact. But the thing about it was, we were talking about some attributes, some of the characteristics, some of the genes that are passed on to other people or passed on to our children, right? And so it was this one thing that we were saying about his mom, and then he's like, yeah, and I get my nonchalantness from you. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. I'm not nonchalant. Why would you say that? And in unison, his mom and he both said, yes, you are. And the funny part about it was that I thought nonchalant meant a bad thing, as being somebody who didn't care or who didn't give a you-know-what about whatever a situation may be. But I come to find out, as I just Googled the word just before coming on, that that could be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, what it says is a person that's nonchalant is a person who appears to be casually calm and relaxed, not displaying anxiety, interest, or enthusiasm. So, well, let's get a little bit deeper. It says the word describes someone who is relaxed and calm in a way that shows that they do not care or are not worried about something. And you know what? They're both completely correct. You know what I mean? And as a matter of fact, the person who first told me what it meant probably was correct too, but yet still, I'm going to go with this way, meaning that I remain calm. I do my best to remain calm, not get too anxious, not get too excited about a lot of things in life, particularly things that we typically have no control over, right? Why is that important on today? Well, because this morning, one of the things that I do have control over is getting up in the morning on a Sunday and going to church. I love it. I love to go to church. You know what I mean? Now, how I react to church and everything else, some people get their shout on, they get their praise on everything. I do it too, but just in a relaxed, calm manner. You get what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I coined myself Righteous Ron because I'm not the holy roller type of a person, although I'm a big believer. You understand what I'm saying? I understand where all my help comes from. Matter of fact, I know that my help comes from God. You understand what I'm saying? So I thank God for you, the viewer, the person that's taking a look at this video. You see what I'm saying? And if you're looking at it now, I'm going to ask you to keep on watching all the way through, because there's some points that I want to make. As a matter of fact, if you're new to this channel, make sure that you like, that you comment, and that you subscribe. All right? Make sure you do those things. Okay? That's just like YouTube 101, particularly for up and coming content creators such as myself, right? Such as myself. My goal, something that's beyond my control, but I'm going to remain calm, remain unanxious about it. But the truth is, I'd like to get to 100 subscribers by the end of this month, January 2025. So whenever it is that you see this, if you're one of those people and you see the number bigger than that, all glory belongs to God. All right. So let's just get back to the subject at hand, what I was talking about. I never want to be late, and I vowed this morning that I'll never be late to church again. Truth being told, though, full disclosure is that I knew I wasn't going to Sunday school this morning, and that allowed me to be late to church. Let me explain. Because I wasn't going to Sunday school this morning, when my alarm went off at 7:30, as opposed to the regular time I normally get up to get ready to go to Sunday school, I kicked back in my bed, I leaned back a little bit, and was going through Facebook. Well, of course, I did my devotion and everything. That goes without saying. First thing I do is pray, and then I go through the devotion. But then I scroll through Facebook, probably played a game of football or two or whatever. Then whatever I did this morning, right? When it was time to get ready to go, then, I got caught up. You get what I'm saying? So I made it to church. Pastor just took his text or whatever. Matter of fact, I missed what the scripture was. Thank God for the people sitting in the hallway. And they told me, where he was preaching from. And why they had to tell me in the hallway? Because the sanctuary was so packed, I wasn't even about to go in there and distract anybody else from getting what we all go to church for. That is to hear the word from the Lord, all right? Stay with me. I'm going somewhere. I'm not driving at the moment, but I'm going somewhere. Okay, so look. So I sit out there, I take the notes and everything else. I felt pretty good. But you know what? In the words of Kendrick Lamar, turn this TV off, it's not enough. You know what I mean? I walked out there thinking, it's not enough. So what did I do? I went home and I turned my TV on. You get what I'm saying? And I streamed another pastor out of Oakland, California, Pastor Leon McDaniels. Definitely were streaming to that church, and they had a visiting preacher from there. You see what I'm saying? The visiting preacher was good, but Pastor McDaniels said something that I won't forget. You know what I mean? He talking about looking good and feeling good. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, I always do my best to have it on and everything else. That's why I feel good about bringing this information to you on days like today. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, my pastor this morning talked about not being afraid to let go. And if you've seen my last video, it's talked about catch with Butterfingers. You get what I'm saying? Not being afraid to let go. And I'm like, man, did pastor see my podcast or what? I'm like, okay, cool. Is he a subscriber? But no, as a matter of fact, at the time that I'm doing this video, I don't have any views or very few views on that video. So pastor didn't see it. Sometimes God gives you confirmation when you go to church. It helps you to stay on the right path, which is why I don't understand why people don't want to go to church. You get what I'm saying? That could be a whole another podcast, but there's something I need to say. You know what I mean? I got the word today, but it wasn't enough. And then I got another word and I streamed, right? I was able to do that. You get what I'm saying? But check out this video I did, the third podcast I did. It's called, not third podcast, third installment of a show I do called Flow and Prove, where I look at hip hop lyrics and whatnot and kind of like break them down and everything. You'll see Richie Rich songs called Don't Do It. And on the second verse, he has a part that he says, with everything going on in the world, right? As a matter of fact, shout out to LA and the problems that they're having, you know, as far as the fires going on. And then the other side of the country, you know, it seems like there's an ice blizzard. As a matter of fact, St. Louis, places like that, snow and everything else going on, right? So you got fire on one side of the country, ice on the other. You understand what I'm saying? But back to the lyrics. In the midst of all that, Rich says, the preacher's just busy just trying to provoke the people to give at least one Sunday each week, right? That one day each week, perhaps it'll make life better for Monday. And if Tuesday through Saturday you stay on your knees, you'll notice a change, that the week was a breeze. I love quoting that song, love quoting that, because I wasn't even in church at the time, but I knew he was telling the truth a very, very, very long time ago, all right? So now this brings me to the title, the can't and the ain't, all right? There's two different ways. Oftentimes people are put into calamities, and two different ways that they handle it. That they can't do some things, and sometimes there are people who ain't going to do some things. You get what I'm saying? Take me myself, for instance, right? I was once in that can't category. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't always this way. As a matter of fact, remember I told you, righteous run, I'm striving for it. You get what I'm saying? I'm striving for it. Wasn't always here, though. Definitely not always in this frame of mind where, you know, God is number one and everything else. I had other things on my mind or whatnot. But at the age of 31, well, let me go backwards before I move forward. All right. As a child, I went to church because I had to go to church. Had to go. Mama wasn't playing. You got to go to church. You get what I'm saying? And I'm thankful for that, because the scripture does say, train them up, train a child up in the way they should go. When they get older, they won't depart from it. Well, before I got older, I made sure at a certain age I didn't have to go. I stopped going. You see what I'm saying? But back at the age of 31, I went back to the Lord, right? Also, that first day I went back to church, Easter Sunday, 2005, went to the hospital that night, diagnosed at the age of 31, having congestive heart failure. I was so lethargic and out of it, I could barely even function. You get what I'm saying? Like, I could hardly even move. Most movements it took a lot out of me at the age of 31. Lethargic is not the word for the way I was feeling. I was just out of it, right? No strength, no energy, nothing. Less than 20% of my heart's function was a part of that diagnosis, and these were all things that are part of having congestive heart failure. Thank God I had a doctor that believed. Sister just moved to the Bay Area from Connecticut, and she said, because of your age, I believe it could be reversed. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. During the process of reversing this the sickness that I had, you know, it took some time where strength started to build up eventually. So there was a lot of things I wanted to do, but could not do. I actually can't work. I can't do the things that I really want to be able to do at this time. You understand what I'm saying? But then eventually I got enough strength, much enough strength where I was able to go to school, culinary school to be exact. So then I become Chef Ron. You understand what I'm saying? And I was not one of the people. I think the majority of the students I went to school with did not know about my condition. Just looking at me, you know, it's one of them conditions that just looking at somebody, you can't tell. You know, unless a person is bald-headed, like a woman is bald-headed, you may not tell that she has cancer. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to my good friend, FG. I just use those initials, you know what I'm saying? You know, beautiful, beautiful young lady. Just saw a picture of her on Facebook going through that situation. Praying for you, just letting you know. Righteous Ron is praying for you. DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay, praying for you. All right, you know what I'm saying? She met me back when I was in my previous life, before I became Deacon Ron. I was D-Boy Ron. It's a whole other story. Here's my point. Because I was going through all of that and they didn't know, I didn't tell my chef until it was one day that was just something I absolutely could not do. And that's when I told him, look, you know, I know how I act. I know I'm, you know, life of the party, you know, one of the best of your class and everything else. But I do have this situation that is not allowing me to do A, B, or C, whatever those things were. I can't do it. You get what I'm saying? That's important because Kent may be a part of some men and some women's vocabulary. Just not able to do it. Just can't do it for whatever reason. And the thing about it, you know, because I don't talk about it all the time and everything else, I've had people to judge me because of my situation that, you know, because you live in an apartment, because you're doing this, or really because I stayed in my mom's house, if I'm, you know, for full transparency, all this is important because in the end, you'll understand. You get what I'm saying? So I can't do these things because of the situation I'm in without drawing attention to myself and trying to, woe is me and everything else. This is my situation. But I believed because my doctor believed, and because my doctor believed, I believe. And then because I started going back to church and everything else, it was getting word and getting that good nourishment in me. It built me up and it built me up and it built me up. The Lord helped me. I hope I'm making some sense. I hope I'm helping some other people. Why is that important? Because there's a song by Jay-Z. It's called My First Song. And because Jay-Z had did what he done, really, if you listen to that song closely, it's going to be on Floor Improved, Lord willing, real soon. But because he did what he did in the dope game, after he left that alone, he went to the rap game, he basically did the same thing all over again. Why? Because it was proven over here and it should work over here. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that to say, sisters, you like the brother, whatever, whatnot, and he's not in a situation, in a position to do all the things he could. That's what I love about Gina when it came to Martin. He said, hey, I want her to be the happiest woman in the world. I want to buy her a big diamond ring and everything else. I'm just not able to do that. I just can't do that yet. You understand what I'm saying? So remember, that's the word can't. That's just about all the things I can think of for now. If I come back to something, don't worry about it. I'll just drop it in. But now we're going to get to the next word, right? Ain't. Sometimes there are some people, though, that have the ability, but just ain't going to do it. You get what I'm saying? They just ain't going to do it. And I just noticed I got this right here. The reason why I got that is because I got the white hat. So, you know, when I touch it, under here or on top of there, I don't want to mess up my white hat. Can't mess up the white hat. You get what I'm saying? Most cleaners can't fix that. You know what I mean? And I ain't going to be able to pay nobody $10 to clean something that didn't come. Anyway, I just had to drop a little humor or whatnot, if you will. So back to the word ain't, right? There are people that have the abilities to do things, can work and everything else, but just ain't going to do it. You see what I'm saying? They have the ability, but just ain't. Those are the people that I'm coming really to talk to today. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to light a fire under some people because you should, but you just ain't. I don't understand that. You know what I mean? You ain't going to search for a job. You could walk into a situation. You see the place is hiring and everything else. Might know somebody there. Want to give you a job or whatnot. You ain't going to fill out the application. You know what I mean? You ain't going to pass the P test. This is the craziest part to me, right? Again, have the ability to do it, but just ain't going to do certain things. Ain't going to stop smoking weed. I work for one of the largest companies on the West Coast in my city in Richmond. And maybe in the world. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. You figure out the name of it, then you'll know. Okay, during COVID, super busy. They were working. I didn't have nothing else going on. So I decided, you know, they're going to let me work at my pace, do what I do, how I want to do it, and pay me $38 an hour. So when I was working inside, you know, there's an outside job and there's an inside job. Again, if you know it, you know it. But check it out. There's an inside job, there's an outside job. While working on the inside with other people who worked inside, why don't you work outside? You could be working full time in a union job and working outside. Nah, I smoke. I can't do it because I smoke. No, you ain't doing it because you smoke. Big difference. That's why I love Stephen A. Smith. However you feel about him, stay off the weed. If it's keeping you from making money, you might want to leave it alone. Whole other situation because I know I'm stepping on some people's toes, right? But they ain't gonna let you say nothing to them. You know, them kind of people. Oh, the boss had me effed up. You know, you ain't gonna just let you just say anything to me. You can't just talk to me any kind of way. My grandmama told me a very long time ago, sometimes you just have to grin and bear it. You know, but some of y'all just ain't for none, though. You know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna leave Section 8. Uh-oh. You know what I mean? Ain't gonna leave, ain't gonna let go of disability. Ain't gonna let go of Section 8 or Social Security. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that happened, like I said, I alluded to it earlier. I did stay with my mom for quite some time. You know, part of the time I was going to move away, but I knew she needed me to stay there. And then there's other times I wanted to move away because a man should have his own. Seriously, I wanted to move away and just couldn't afford it at that time. I couldn't afford it yet. You get what I'm saying? Thank God he blessed me with the apartment of my dream, you know, hot tub in my bedroom and everything else. Praise God for that. You know what I mean? Right where I wanted to live and everything else, and was able to pay a higher rent than I'd ever thought I'd be paying, as long as 2 car notes, one for me and one for my mother. To God be the glory. All right. But let's get back to the point before, you know, we end the video. You know what I mean? Lest I hold you and you ain't going to be able to want to stay. You get what I'm saying? And let me just drop this in too about streaming, can't and ain't, right? I talked about going to church and everything else. Some people can't make it to church because they are working and everything else. God bless you. Thank God for streaming. You know what I'm saying? Church I go to, though, there is no streaming. You know what I mean? And if you don't make it, you ain't gonna be able to catch the sermon. You understand what I'm saying? You see the big difference in that? You know what I mean? There's good when you can't, then you should know where to go to so you can get that nourishment that your spiritual body needs. But, you know, if you just, some people just ain't gonna do it no matter how it goes. You know what I mean? Whether it's streamed or if it's in person, whatever, they just ain't gonna go. All right. But back to the Section 8 thing. When my mother passed away, the landlord stepped to me, because they knew, I guess we knew it was some good tenants, right? It was like, well, check to see if your mom has you on her Section 8, because that way you can be able to take it over. And I told her straight up, I don't want to be on Section 8. Well, why not? Because Section 8 restricts you. You can't, you're not able to thrive and do the things you want to. You know what I mean? And let that be a word to some people. So keep in mind that Section 8 is really about having a place to stay at a price that you can afford, while you get your money together to get where you want to be. Does that make sense? So if you want to be a homeowner, you know, you live there, the money that you could be spending for the same unit to pay your rent and everything, yeah, you could save that money and put it towards something in the future. You get what I'm saying? So if I was ever to be on Section 8, knowing what I know now, I would have done it back then if I was on Section 8. Does that make sense? Matter of fact, I had a cousin want to stay with me at that apartment that I told you about. Dream apartment. I was there for a couple of years, had to move because my situation changed. Prayed to get back. Lord blessed me to have that apartment back. And I lived there for a long time, a very long time, right? Really just gave it up. A lot of people don't know that. But my same cousin, he wanted to stay with me. And he was like, well, you know, how much would the rent be? You know, I had a bedroom available at the time. And I told him, you know, about half the amount of rent or whatnot, you know, if you're going to move in with me. He's like, well, I thought you was on Section 8. I was like, man, nah, cuz, you know, kind of wish I was, but I wasn't. You understand what I'm saying? So needless to say, he didn't live with me, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? He ended up purchasing his own place. But guess what, though? Like I said, I just moved from there a little while ago. I had to stay there for a substantial amount of time, much longer than I ever thought I would. But the Lord has blessed me to become a homeowner now. You get what I'm saying? But I remember one night, speaking of school and everything, because one thing about me, when I'm locked in, I'm focused. You understand what I'm saying? So I was at school, all the beautiful women and everything else that were there and everything else, but I was there to handle business. You understand what I'm saying? Not to mention that I did keep an eye on a couple of them. So I ran into one of them who, you know, from time to time or whatnot, you know, and it wasn't cool and it wasn't cool. So finally when she did come through, she was like, seen a hot tub, seen this and that, and it's like, you should have told me that you had this a long time ago. Well, see, that's what I ain't gonna do. You know what I mean? I can't mess with somebody that ain't gonna mess with me for me. You understand what I'm saying? So if you was feeling me and you was holding back for whatever reason, play that game or whatnot. You know what I mean? You might get another chance to dance, and you might not. She was kind of fine though, so you know she did, and that's what she said. So you know that's the first and last time she got to come to my spot though. You understand what I'm saying? It was cool for what it was cool for, but that's it. So anyway, back to Section 8. If I stepped on your toes and your feet hurt, you know what I mean? It might be a sign that it's time to get some bigger, better shoes. You understand what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say. You get what I mean? If you know me, you know, by checking out my videos and everything, I'm here to build up, not to tear nobody down. But sometimes things have to be teared down to make an improvement and build up something bigger and better. You understand what I'm saying? And look, that's not even in my notes. I just made that up, but it's the truth and the fact about everything. You get what I'm saying? So look, let me go ahead and bring this to a close. And again, shout out to those that made it this far. A lot of people that click on it, but they ain't got the time to sit there and watch the whole video, especially when we start talking about God and everything else. You know, for some people, You know what I mean? Why we're like that, I'll never understand it, because one thing about me, I still had time to at least hear what you had to say about God, and then I went to go do whatever it is that I had to go do. You understand what I'm saying? But you know, what does the scripture say? One plants, another waters, and then God will eventually get the increase. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm praying to be an increase in his kingdom, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So there's my 2 words right there. 1 + 1 = 2, right? Can't and ain't. Notice the difference between the two, because there might be some beautiful young ladies who ran across a nice, handsome young gem like me, and you judge for whatever reason you judge for initially. Look for the signs between can't and ain't. You understand what I'm saying? The same could be said too about women, but that's not necessarily my lane. But at the store today, for the first time, I bought some turnip greens, right? And so then, you know, naturally I had to get a turnip to go along with it, and just thought about it. First time, never had no turnip greens. Lady in line behind me asked her how to cook some turnip greens, and guess what? She was able to tell me. My son, my oldest son, was laughing as we walked out of the store. It's like, what if she didn't know? You know what I mean? And he said, yeah, too many women in my age group do not know how to cook. They ain't gonna be able to cook nothing. You understand what I'm saying? So the question is it that they can't or that they ain't? You understand what I'm saying? Because hopefully a lot of you mothers, a lot of the parents will teach the daughters how to cook. And, you know, run across some of them that just ain't going to be able to do it. They ain't going to do it. They don't want to do it. That same list of ain'ts I did about a job, that's how they feel about cooking. You get what I'm saying? Very weird to me. They rather have somebody give them money to buy food all the time, every day, all day, every day. How you gonna get the house and everything else? You ain't gonna be able to do it. You know what I mean? Unless he just ball out of control, but then he go to jail, you ain't gonna be able to stay there no more. Look, I digress because I want to go ahead and close the video. And again, shout out to you for making this far. A lot of people, they'll click on it, but they'll click off and then they'll be gone. You understand what I'm saying? So hopefully it was of some substance. And then here's a couple more words, you know, because can and ain't can often lead to, you know, won't and don't, you know what I mean? Or it can lead to can and will, you know what I mean? The 1 + 1 does equal 2, but what would the 2 be for you? Will your can't/ain't, will it be won't and don't, or will it be can and will? I thank God that having that doctor led to my can, and I will, you know what I'm saying? I will be able to get to 100 subscribers. I will be able to give y'all some good content, you know what I mean, by God's grace, by God's guidance, you understand what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all won't go through the same pitfalls and get stuck in the mud as I did. Truth be told, there was once few times when I was sick like that, I didn't want to keep going on. You understand what I'm saying? When I was going through school and everything, I was praying for some days. I didn't want to go on. Could have dropped out. You understand what I'm saying? But I love what I was doing, culinary, then, you know, just getting a certificate, then getting degrees in culinary arts, restaurant management, and then saying, why not take it to another level? Because all of it is business anyway. So business management, degrees in that and everything else. What if I would have quit way back then and said I ain't going to do it? You understand? I can't come back and tell you about what can be done. So look, this is DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay. I'm signing off. This has been another installment of the dilemma of a good one, because as men and women, we do have some dilemmas. You understand what I'm saying? But if you want to be a good one, remember, it's always good to be good. It's always good to be good. God bless.